Your sleeping brain is programmed to reject money. I reprogrammed mine and everything changed. I'm Henry Ford, and what I'm about to tell you goes deeper than what most people know about the power of sleep. Most people think money is made during the day, while you're working, while you're building, while you're pushing. But that's only half the story. The real battle for wealth happens in your brain for 8 hours every night while you're asleep. And right now, while you sleep, your subconscious mind is running a program, a set of instructions about money that was written when you were a child. And that program is either moving you toward wealth or pushing it away. I discovered this by accident when I was still working for Edison. I'd have breakthrough ideas at 3 in the morning. Solutions that seemed impossible during the day would appear fully formed in my mind while I slept. And I realized my sleeping brain was smarter than my waking brain. But it took me years to understand how to control it, how to program it, how to make those 8 hours work for me instead of against me. What I'm going to show you isn't about dream journals or affirmations. This is about understanding how your unconscious mind processes information while you sleep and how to give it the right instructions before you close your eyes. I'm going to give you the exact steps, the specific practices, the things you do in the last hour before sleep that determine whether you wake up closer to wealth or further from it. And if you listen to this every night before sleep, the programming goes deeper each time. The principles become part of how you think. So let's begin with something most people never realize about their own minds. Let me tell you something that changed how I understood my own mind. Your subconscious doesn't sleep. When your conscious mind shuts down for the night, when you stop thinking and planning and worrying, your subconscious takes over. And it spends those 8 hours processing everything from your day, solving problems, and most importantly, running the core programs that control your beliefs about money. I didn't understand this when I was younger. I thought sleep was just rest, your body recharging, your mind going blank. But one night I woke up at 3 in the morning with the complete solution to an engine design I'd been struggling with for weeks. Not just a vague idea, the entire design, every measurement, every connection. I got up, lit a lamp, and drew it. By morning I had the full schematic, and it worked. That's when I started paying attention to what happened while I slept. I noticed a pattern. The problems I thought about right before falling asleep were the ones my mind would solve during the night. The worries I carried into bed were the ones that would feel heavier in the morning. My last thoughts before sleep were like instructions I was giving to a worker, and that worker spent all night following those instructions. Most people give their subconscious terrible instructions without realizing it. They fall asleep thinking about bills they can't pay, problems they can't solve, ways they're failing, and their subconscious spends 8 hours reinforcing those thoughts, building them stronger, making them feel more real. Then they wake up and wonder why they feel anxious about money, why opportunities feel impossible, why wealth seems like something other people have but they don't. It's because they programmed their sleeping mind to see the world that way. 8 hours a night, every night, for years. I did the same thing for a long time. I'd lie in bed worrying about whether I'd ever build anything of my own, whether I'd spend my whole life working for someone else, whether I'd missed my chance. And I'd wake up feeling heavier, more stuck, more convinced that maybe I wasn't meant for more than what I had. Until I realized I was doing it to myself. I was programming my own mind to reject the very things I said I wanted. Now let me show you something that will make you angry when you see it. Because once you understand where your money programming comes from, you'll realize how long it's been controlling you. Your subconscious beliefs about money were installed before you were 10 years old. By your parents, by your teachers, by adults around you, by what you saw and heard and experienced in those early years when your mind was absorbing everything without question. I remember my father saying things about rich men. He'd call them greedy, say they'd lost their character chasing wealth. Tell me a good man should be content with what he has and not reach for more. He wasn't trying to hurt me. He was teaching me what he believed were values. But what was actually happening was he was installing a program in my mind. A program that said wanting more money makes you a bad person. That program ran silently in my subconscious for years. Every time I had an idea for making money, that program would activate. It would create a feeling a sense that I was doing something wrong by wanting wealth, and I'd abandon the idea. Not because it was bad, because my subconscious program told me wanting it made me bad. My mother would say things too. Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. Rich people don't work as hard as your father. She was managing expectations, explaining our circumstances. But what got programmed into my young mind was different. Money is scarce. Money is hard to get. Rich people didn't earn what they have. Those beliefs ran underneath everything I did, and they shaped how I saw opportunities when they appeared. I'd see a chance to make money and my first thought would be, that's too hard, or that won't work for someone like me. Not because I'd analyzed it, because my subconscious program automatically rejected it. Your parents probably installed similar programs in you, not on purpose. They were just passing on what was programmed into them. Poverty thinking is like that. It gets handed down generation after generation. Your grandparents programmed your parents programmed you. And right now, tonight, that program is running while you sleep. But here's what changes everything. That program can be overwritten, not by thinking different thoughts during the day. That doesn't reach deep enough. You have to reprogram your subconscious while it's most open to new instructions. And that happens in a very specific window of time. Let me tell you about a night that showed me how powerful this programming really is. I was working on plans for my first automobile company. During the day I felt excited, clear, ready to start. But that night I had dreams about failing, about people laughing, about losing everything. I woke up and the excitement was gone, replaced by heavy doubt. I almost gave up on the whole idea that morning. And I realized something. My conscious mind during the day wanted to build the company, but my subconscious mind at night was terrified of it, and the subconscious was stronger. It was using my sleep time to convince me the idea was dangerous, to create feelings of doubt so strong I'd abandon the plan. That's when I understood. If I wanted to build wealth, I had to win the battle that happened while I slept. I had to learn how to program my subconscious mind to support my goals instead of sabotaging them. And there's a specific time when the subconscious is most open to new programming. Most people miss it completely. But once you learn to use it, everything changes. Let me show you exactly when that window opens and how to use it. Here's the first key to reprogramming your sleeping mind. The last thought you have before you fall asleep is like a command. It's the instruction your subconscious follows for the next 8 hours. And most people are giving themselves the worst possible instructions without knowing it. They fall asleep thinking about problems, replaying arguments, worrying about bills, thinking about what went wrong during the day. That's the instruction. That's what their subconscious works on all night, processing problems, reinforcing worries, building anxiety, and they wake up feeling worse than when they went to bed. I used to do this every night. I'd lie there thinking about everything I didn't have, the success I hadn't achieved yet, the money I didn't make, the opportunities that had passed. I thought I was just processing my day, but I was actually programming my sleeping mind to focus on lack, to see failure, to feel insufficient. Then one night I tried something different. Right before I fell asleep, I thought about one specific thing I wanted to build. I didn't wish for it or hope for it. I pictured it clearly as if it already existed, saw myself working on it, felt what it would feel like to have it completed, and I held that picture as I drifted off. I woke up different. The thing I'd pictured felt more real, more possible, more like something that was already in motion. During the day, I found myself naturally taking steps toward it. Ideas came easier, actions felt clearer. And I realized my sleeping mind had spent the whole night working on that instruction I'd given it. That was the beginning of everything. That's when I started taking control of my last thought before sleep. Here's what I learned. Your subconscious mind doesn't judge the instructions you give it. It just follows them. If you give it worry, it processes worry all night. If you give it a clear picture of what you're building, it works on building it all night. The last thought is everything. It's the difference between waking up closer to your goals or further from them. So here's the first practice I'm giving you. Tonight, before you fall asleep, You're going to control that last thought, not let it be random worries or stress. Give your subconscious a clear instruction. Here's exactly how to do it. When you're in bed and about to sleep, think of one specific thing related to money or wealth that you want to build or achieve. Just one thing, not multiple goals, one clear target. Then picture it as if it's already done. See yourself having achieved it. Feel what that would feel like. Make it as real as possible in your mind. Hold that picture, hold that feeling, and let yourself fall asleep while holding it. That's your instruction to your subconscious. And for the next 8 hours, while you're not conscious enough to interfere, your mind will process that instruction. It will solve problems related to it. It will make connections you couldn't make during the day. It will prepare you to recognize opportunities related to it when you wake up. This is not visualization in the way most people teach it. This is using the specific window of time when your subconscious is about to take over for 8 hours and giving it the right assignment. Do this every night and watch what happens within a week. You'll start having ideas related to that goal first thing in the morning. You'll notice opportunities during the day that you would have missed before. Your subconscious will be working for you instead of against you. But this is only the first part. There's something even more powerful that happens at 3 in the morning that most people don't know about. Let me tell you about something I discovered by accident that changed everything. If you wake up at 3 in the morning, the first thought you have reveals what's actually programmed in your subconscious. Not what you think is there, what's really there. Your conscious mind isn't awake yet to filter it or change it. So whatever thought comes first, that's the truth. That's your real programming. Before I started this work, I'd wake up at 3 a.m. with anxiety about money, worry about whether I'd ever amount to anything, fear that I'd wasted my chances. Those were my real subconscious beliefs, and they were running every night while I slept, shaping how I saw the world when I woke up. After I started programming my mind with the right last thoughts, something changed. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and my first thought would be excitement about what I was building, clarity about the next step, solutions to problems I'd been working on. Same time, same circumstances, but completely different thought, because the program had changed. So here's the test. If you wake up during the night, pay attention to your very first thought before your conscious mind fully engages. Don't judge it. Don't try to change it. Just notice it. If that thought is anxiety or scarcity or worry, that's your current programming. That's what your subconscious actually believes about money, and that's what needs to change. If that thought is clarity or excitement or solutions, your programming is working for you. Your subconscious is supporting your goals. Write down that first thought. Keep paper next to your bed specifically for this, because that thought tells you more about your real beliefs than anything you think during the day. But here's where this becomes even more powerful. That 3 a.m. moment when you first wake up is also when your subconscious is most open to receiving new programming. Your conscious mind is weak, your defenses are down, and you can install new thoughts directly into your subconscious without resistance. Let me show you how. One night I woke up at 3 a.m. with my usual money anxiety. But instead of lying there letting it run, I immediately pictured something I was building, something specific. I saw it completed. I felt the satisfaction of finishing it, and I held that picture until I fell back asleep. When I woke up in the morning, that thing I'd pictured at 3 a.m. felt more real than it had the day before, more achievable, more like it was already happening. I started doing this every time I woke up during the night. Anxiety would hit. I'd immediately replace it with a clear picture of what I was building. Not fighting the anxiety, just redirecting my mind to something different. Within 2 weeks, I stopped waking up with anxiety. My first thought at 3 a.m. naturally became whatever I was building. The program had changed at the deepest level. So here's your second practice. If you wake up at 3 a.m. or any time during the night, notice your first thought. If it's negative or anxious, immediately replace it with a picture of what you're building related to money. See it done. Feel it complete. Hold that picture until you fall back asleep. You're interrupting the old program in its weakest moment and installing a new one when your subconscious is most open. This isn't about positive thinking. This is about taking control of the specific moments when your subconscious programming is most accessible. Do this consistently, and you'll reprogram years of poverty thinking in weeks. But there's something else I discovered about sleep that most people never figure out, and it has to do with the people around you and what they put in your mind right before you close your eyes. Now let me tell you about something I learned from watching other men fail and succeed. The conversations you have in the evening, right before bed, program your sleeping mind just as much as your own thoughts. And most people are letting other people install poverty programming every single night without realizing it. I used to go to the club every evening after work. Good men, friends. We'd sit and talk about business and money and ideas. But I started noticing something. After those conversations, I'd go home and have trouble sleeping. My mind would be full of their doubts, their worries, their complaints about the economy or the government or how hard everything was. And those weren't my thoughts. They were theirs. But they'd gotten into my mind right before sleep, and my subconscious would process them all night as if they were mine. I'd wake up feeling heavy, doubtful, convinced that the problems they talked about were my problems too. One night I had dinner with Thomas Edison and Andrew Carnegie, two men who'd built real wealth. We talked about business until late in the evening, but the conversation was completely different. They talked about opportunities, about problems they were excited to solve, about new ideas they were testing. I went home that night and fell asleep thinking about possibilities instead of problems, and I woke up energized, full of ideas, ready to build. That's when I realized, the people you talk to before bed are programming your sleeping mind. If you spend your evenings with people who complain about money, who talk about how hard everything is, who focus on what's wrong, that's what your subconscious processes all night. You wake up seeing the world through their lens. If you spend your evenings with people who talk about what they're building, who see opportunities, who focus on solutions, that's what your subconscious processes. You wake up seeing possibilities. This is why wealthy people are so careful about who they spend time with. It's not snobbery, it's protection. They're protecting their subconscious programming. So here's what I started doing. I stopped going to the club every evening. I became selective about who I talked to in the hours before sleep. I'd spend time with Edison or Firestone, or men who were building things, men whose thoughts I wanted in my head while I slept. And when I did talk to people who were focused on problems, I made sure to clear my mind before bed. I'd sit quietly for a few minutes and replace their voices with my own clear thoughts about what I was building. This changed everything. My morning state improved. My ideas got better. My energy for building increased. Because my subconscious wasn't spending 8 hours processing other people's poverty programming. Now, I'm not saying you should cut off everyone in your life who struggles with money, but I am saying you need to be aware of what voices you're taking into sleep with you. Because those voices become your thoughts while you're unconscious. They shape your beliefs. They program your subconscious. And they determine what you see when you wake up. Here's the practice. In the evening, pay attention to what conversations you're having. If someone is filling your mind with doubts and worries and complaints about money, limit that time, especially in the hour before bed. And if you do have those conversations, take 5 minutes before sleep to clear your mind. Sit quietly. Think about what you're building. Give your subconscious your own instructions instead of theirs. This alone will change your relationship with money faster than most strategies you could learn. But now let me show you something even more specific. A technique I learned from watching Nikola Tesla that uses the exact moment between being awake and being asleep. Tesla told me something once that I never forgot. He said the best ideas come in the space between awake and asleep. That there's a moment, right as you're drifting off, where your conscious mind hasn't fully shut down, but your subconscious is starting to take over. And in that moment, your mind is open to things it would reject when you're fully awake. I didn't understand what he meant until I started paying attention to that exact moment. That space where you're not quite asleep but not fully awake anymore. Your body is relaxing. Your thoughts are starting to drift. Your control is loosening. That moment usually lasts about 15 to 20 minutes. And it's the most powerful window for programming your subconscious mind. Here's why. When you're fully awake, your conscious mind filters everything. It judges, It doubts. It says, "That's not possible," or "That won't work for me." Your subconscious might be open to new beliefs, but your conscious mind blocks them. When you're fully asleep, you have no control. Your subconscious is running automatically based on whatever programs are already installed. You can't direct it. But in that space between awake and asleep, your conscious mind is weak enough that it stops blocking new ideas. And you still have just enough control to direct your thoughts. You can feed new beliefs directly into your subconscious without the usual resistance. I started using this window deliberately. Instead of letting my mind wander randomly as I fell asleep, I would hold a specific thought in that doorway. Not just any thought. A belief about money that I wanted to install. Something like, "Money comes to me naturally when I create value," or "I have everything I need to build wealth." I'd repeat it slowly in my mind as I drifted toward sleep. And because I was in that doorway space, the belief would slip into my subconscious without my conscious mind fighting it. At first, these beliefs felt fake, like I was lying to myself. But I'd hold them anyway in that doorway moment. And after a few nights, something shifted. Those beliefs started feeling more natural, less like lies and more like possibilities. After a few weeks, they started feeling true. And then my behavior changed automatically. I'd see opportunities I would have missed. I'd take actions I would have avoided. Not because I was forcing myself, because my subconscious programming had changed. Here's exactly how to use this doorway. When you're in bed and starting to feel sleepy, notice when you enter that space. You'll know it because your thoughts start to drift. Your body feels heavy. You're relaxed but still aware. In that moment, choose one belief about money that you want to install. Something specific. Something that contradicts your current programming. I am capable of building wealth. Money is available to me. I see opportunities everywhere. Repeat it slowly in your mind, not like you're trying to convince yourself, just stating it, letting it exist in your awareness. As you drift closer to sleep, keep returning to that belief. Your mind will wander, that's normal. Just gently bring it back to that one statement. You're not trying to force anything. You're just holding that belief in the doorway where your subconscious is most open to it. Do this every night with the same belief for at least a week. You'll start noticing that belief feels more true. And more importantly, you'll start acting like it's true. Your subconscious will be running a new program. This is how you change beliefs that have been running for decades. Not by arguing with them during the day, by replacing them in the doorway when your conscious mind can't defend the old programming. But there's one more thing you need to know about sleep and money, and it's something I learned from John D. Rockefeller that changed how I approached every problem I faced. Rockefeller once told me he solved his biggest business problems in his sleep. He said if something seemed impossible during the day, he'd give it to his sleeping mind and wake up with the answer. At first I thought he was being poetic, but then I tried it myself and discovered he was telling the literal truth. Your sleeping brain is better at solving complex problems than your waking brain, and there's a specific way to use it. Here's what I learned. During the day, your conscious mind tries to solve problems using logic. It looks at what you already know. It follows straight lines. It gets stuck when the answer isn't obvious. During sleep, your subconscious mind solves problems differently. It makes connections between things that seem unrelated. It accesses information you didn't know you had. It sees solutions that logic would never find. But your sleeping mind only works on problems you give it. If you don't deliberately assign a problem before sleep, your subconscious just processes random thoughts from your day. It wastes that problem-solving power on nothing. I started using this deliberately when I was designing the Model T. I had a problem with the engine design that I couldn't figure out during the day. Every solution I tried had flaws. So one night, right before sleep, I held the problem clearly in my mind. Not trying to solve it, just holding it, seeing it clearly, asking my sleeping mind to work on it. I woke up at 4 a.m. with the complete solution, not a vague idea, the exact design change that would make everything work. I got up, drew it, and by morning I had it solved. The problem that had stumped me for weeks was solved in one night of sleep. That's when I started doing this with every major problem. Business decisions, design challenges, money problems. I'd hold them clearly in my mind right before sleep and wake up with solutions. Here's how to do this yourself. When you have a problem related to money or business that you can't solve, don't force it during the day. Give it to your sleeping mind. Right before you fall asleep, hold the problem clearly in your awareness. See it, define it, but don't try to solve it. Just ask your subconscious to work on it while you sleep. Say it clearly in your mind. Show me the solution to this problem. Then let it go and fall asleep. Your sleeping brain will work on it, and you'll wake up with either the complete solution or the next step that moves you forward. This doesn't work if you go to sleep worried about the problem. Worry tells your subconscious to focus on how bad the problem is, not how to solve it. You have to hand the problem over with trust. Give it to your sleeping mind like you're giving an assignment to someone you trust. Then let go. I've solved more problems this way than any other method. Business challenges that seemed impossible during the day would have obvious solutions when I woke up. Money problems that felt overwhelming at night would have clear next steps in the morning. Your sleeping mind is a tool, one of the most powerful tools you have. But most people never learn to use it deliberately. They let it run randomly, processing whatever thoughts happen to be there. Start using it intentionally. Give it problems to solve. Give it goals to work toward. Give it the right programming before you close your eyes. And watch how much faster you move toward wealth when your sleeping mind is working for you instead of against you. Now let me show you how to know if your programming is working. Because you can't just assume it's changing. You have to check. And there's a very specific way to do that. The moment you wake up, before you fully engage your conscious mind, notice what you feel. Not what you think, what you feel in your body. Before I started this work, I'd wake up with a tight feeling in my chest, anxiety about the day ahead, heaviness about money. That was my subconscious state. That was the program that had been running all night. After I started programming my sleeping mind deliberately, my mornings changed. I'd wake up feeling clear, light, ready to move. The tightness was gone. The heaviness was gone. Not because my circumstances had changed, because the program running underneath everything had changed. Your morning feeling is the most accurate measure of what program ran during the night. If you wake up anxious, your sleeping mind processed anxiety all night. If you wake up heavy and discouraged, your sleeping mind reinforced discouragement all night. If you wake up clear and energized, your sleeping mind processed possibility all night. This is your feedback. This tells you if your before sleep programming is working, and it tells you what needs to change. Here's what most people do wrong. They wake up feeling anxious and immediately try to think their way out of it. They tell themselves positive things. They try to force better thoughts. But that doesn't work, because the anxiety came from 8 hours of subconscious programming. You can't think your way out of that in 5 minutes. What you need to do is notice the feeling without judging it. That's your data. That tells you what program ran last night. And tonight, you need to give your subconscious different instructions before you sleep. Here's the practice. When you wake up, before you get out of bed, check your state. What do you feel in your chest, in your stomach, in your body? Is there tightness or openness, heaviness or lightness, anxiety or calm? Don't judge it as good or bad, just notice it. That's what your sleeping mind created during the night. If it's not the state you want, that tells you your before sleep programming needs to be stronger tonight. You need to be more deliberate about your last thought, more clear about what you're assigning to your sleeping mind. If it is the state you want, that tells you your programming is working. Keep doing what you're doing. The goal is to wake up feeling clear and ready more mornings than not. When that starts happening consistently, you'll know your subconscious programming has changed. And when your subconscious programming changes, everything else changes automatically. You'll see opportunities you missed before. You'll take actions you avoided before. You'll attract money in ways that seemed impossible before. Not because the world changed, because your internal program changed. And now let me tell you about the biggest mistake people make with all of this. A mistake that stops the programming from taking hold even when they're doing everything else right. Here's what will stop most people from succeeding with this. They'll try it for 3 nights and expect everything to change. And when it doesn't, they'll decide it doesn't work. Let me be clear about something. You've been programming your subconscious with poverty thinking every night for years, maybe decades. That programming is deep, it's strong, it's your default. 3 nights of new programming doesn't erase decades of old programming. You need consistency, not perfection, consistency. I learned this the hard way. When I first started trying to reprogram my sleeping mind, I'd do the practices for a few nights and feel frustrated when I still woke up anxious. I'd think it wasn't working and give up. Then I'd go back to my old patterns and wonder why nothing in my life changed. It took me a long time to understand that changing subconscious programming is like changing the direction of a river. You can't do it all at once, but consistent pressure in a new direction will eventually create a new path. The river will flow where you direct it, but only if you keep directing it. After I understood this, I committed to 30 days. 30 consecutive nights of programming my sleeping mind deliberately. No exceptions, no skipping, no, I'm too tired tonight. The first week, not much changed. I'd still wake up with anxiety sometimes, but I kept doing the practices. The second week, I started noticing small shifts. Some mornings felt lighter, some problems seemed less overwhelming. The third week, the shifts became more obvious. I'd wake up with ideas instead of anxiety. I'd feel energy instead of dread. The fourth week, the new programming became dominant. My mornings consistently felt clear. Opportunities started appearing. Money started moving in ways it hadn't before. But if I'd stopped after 1 week because I didn't see immediate results, none of that would have happened. The programming needs time to take root. So here's what I'm asking you to commit to. 30 consecutive nights. Every single night for the next 30 days, you're going to program your sleeping mind deliberately. You're going to control your last thought before sleep. You're going to use the doorway space to install new beliefs. You're going to assign problems to your sleeping mind. You're going to notice your 3 a.m. thoughts and redirect them if needed. You're going to check your morning state to measure progress. 30 nights. No skipping. No excuses. That's what it takes to reprogram decades of poverty thinking. And if you do it, if you actually commit and follow through, you'll wake up on day 31 as someone different. Not because you learned something new, because your subconscious programming finally supports your goals instead of sabotaging them. Most people won't do this. They'll try it for a few nights, see no immediate change, and quit. But you're not most people. You understand now that your sleeping mind is either working for you or against you, and you're ready to take control of those 8 hours. Let me tell you one more story before we finish, because this shows what's possible when you finally get your sleeping mind programmed correctly. After months of programming my sleeping mind deliberately, something happened that proved everything I'm teaching you. I'd been trying to figure out how to manufacture automobiles faster. During the day, I'd think about it logically. More workers, better tools, faster processes. But nothing made enough difference to matter. One night I fell asleep after holding that problem clearly in my mind. I didn't worry about it. I just asked my sleeping brain to show me a solution. At 2 in the morning, I woke up with a complete picture in my head. Not more workers. Moving cars. The cars would move past the workers on a line. Each worker would do one specific task as the car passed. The whole process would flow like a river. I got up immediately, drew the entire design, every station, every movement, every detail. By morning, I had the complete system mapped out. That design changed manufacturing forever, the assembly line. But I didn't figure it out with my conscious mind. My sleeping brain solved it by making a connection I never would have made while awake. It saw the problem in a completely different way. That's what becomes possible when your sleeping mind is programmed correctly and working on the right problems. It solves things your waking mind couldn't solve. It sees opportunities your conscious awareness would miss. It moves you toward wealth in ways that seem almost magical. But it's not magic. It's just understanding how your mind actually works and learning to use all of it, not just the part that's awake 16 hours a day. Your sleeping mind is either your greatest asset or your biggest obstacle. And which one it is depends entirely on what you do in the hour before you close your eyes. Everything I've taught you tonight comes down to this. Take control of those 8 hours. Program your sleeping mind deliberately. Give it the right instructions before you fall asleep. Use the doorway space to install new beliefs. Assign it problems to solve. Notice your morning state to measure progress. Do this consistently for 30 days and watch your relationship with money transform. Let me give you the complete protocol one more time so it's absolutely clear. Here's what you do starting tonight. Step 1. 1 hour before bed, protect your mind from poverty programming. Be careful what conversations you have. Be selective about what thoughts you allow in. Step 2. 30 minutes before bed, sit quietly for 5 minutes. Clear your mind of other people's voices. Focus on what you're building. Step 3. When you get into bed, choose one belief about money you want to install, something that contradicts your current programming. Step 4. As you drift into that doorway space between awake and asleep, hold that belief. Repeat it slowly. Let it sink in without resistance. Step 5. Right before you fall asleep, your last conscious thought should be a clear picture of something specific you're building related to money. See it done. Feel it complete. That's your instruction to your sleeping mind. Step 6. If you wake up at 3 a.m. or any time during the night, notice your first thought. If it's negative, immediately replace it with the picture of what you're building. Step 7. When you wake up in the morning, check your state before getting out of bed. Notice what you feel. That tells you what program ran during the night. 7 steps, every night, for 30 consecutive days. That's what changes subconscious programming that's been running for decades. Now here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Most people won't do this. They'll listen to everything I've said and do nothing, or they'll try it for 3 nights and quit. They'll go back to falling asleep with worry and waking up with anxiety and wondering why money stays away from them. But a small number of people will actually do this. They'll commit to the 30 days. They'll program their sleeping mind every single night. They'll be patient enough to let the new programming take root, and those people will see results that seem impossible to everyone else. Not because they're special, because they finally aligned all 8 hours of sleep with their goals instead of against them. Listen to this again tomorrow night before sleep. Let these principles sink deeper each time you hear them. Your sleeping mind learns through repetition. The more you expose it to these ideas right before sleep, the faster the programming changes. You now know something most people never figure out. Start tonight. Good luck.